time with COVID and everyone that's on the show. I'm like, wait, when's the last time I saw you? Like, I don't even know.
Well, and with social media, it's so easy to feel like you are caught up in a person's life because, like, oh yeah, I see what they're doing, or you see their like highlights, but like actually talking or actually like, I'm like, I don't think it's been so long since we've actually like caught up as like, talked. Like,
I know.
You've been out of different state, and so it's like after college, we all kind of separate our different ways too, and it's like you really get into your journey a little bit deeper, and so it's like it's good to see you. I'm really happy to be on here.
Yay! No, I'm really happy that you decided to come on, and I am really excited to learn more about your journey and everything that's going on. I remember you doing art in undergrad a little bit and like majoring in it. I remember after that, yes, I went to the art gallery that you were doing.
Right.
And like memory. Like I forget if that was undergrad, if that was after undergrad.
Yeah.
So I guess like in general, what have you been up to?
Yeah. So like I've got one of my vendors here, and he's like knocking on the window, and I'm like, oh, this is such bad timing.
We can pause if you need to. That's okay. If you need to like let him in.
Yeah, do you mind if we just pause for one moment? I don't want to I just want to give him a text or something and let him know. And
sure.
Okay. Totally appreciate you.
Of course, no worries. So everyone, we're pausing, busy people, and we'll start once she's ready.
Shoot, I've done my a live joining, and so I'm like, I usually contact them through Instagram. So now I'm like, oh crap, how do I? One sec, I'm gonna run outside.
Okay, sounds good.
I'll be back.
No worries. Well, I guess for everyone who is here, go ahead and drop any questions that you might have about art, kind of the purpose of this podcast. Say hello. Anything that you'd like. Welcome to Real Life Progressing. Real Life.
Yeah. I just started it. Are you going to be around a little bit, or are you?
I see Sarah's on. Hey, Sarah.
Okay, I'm back.
I'm back. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thanks. So I'll get into why I have vendors showing up and things, and that's part of this cool journey that has come to fruition. Art has always been just a forefront player in my life. And so going into college, it was very much like I knew I wanted to follow my love for art. I wanted to do something artistic or something creative, something with my hands, like since high school, even before I actually took an art class, I've always been someone who likes to make things with my hands. And when it came to making like gifts, I wouldn't go buy something. I would like make something for my mom or make something for my friends. Like I was always making things. And so when I actually took art classes, I really fell in love with just the process of art. And before I even really knew what meditation was, I look back and that was my way to meditate. That was my kind of meditative state that I would get in and spend hours just getting lost drawing or doing painting or whatever the art project was. So then I kind of ended my high school career thinking, okay, I want to be an artist. I want to do something with art. But I was like, okay, what is that going to look like? I had so many different interests in terms of materials I like to work with. And so, when I left high school, it's funny because it's really come around to be what I was dreaming of. But at the beginning, it was like, how can I do all these things I love to do, but make it like cohesive and make it, something that I can actually like do for a daily thing on my like a career, because especially I think our generation, we were very much conditioned to go get that 9 to 5 job, go do this, check, and you can totally attest to that, I think, too. And so, but in my mind, I had this whole like artist, but then there's also that stereotypical, you don't make money as an artist. You can never think of living as an artist. It's the struggling life of an artist. So it's like, I've always had this struggle of following that passion of mine, of following art, and just following that love for being an artist, and culture, parents, all for the best of your interests, because I think that's like setting you up for success, or in this, what we think of it and what it's come to think culturally. So it was always battling this like, I know this is, it felt hard because it was always battling this, like, I want to make this work. How am I going to make this work? While trying to get through college, while trying to go through all that, of people telling you like, no, you should go work at Microsoft. You should go work at some job that you can use those, go to tech. You can use that creative skills, but like go to a 9 to 5 job in tech thing. And I got in, I went to college and I was like, okay, from a small town, and I grew up in Eastern Washington, agricultural town, very barren in terms of, it's just very spread out population-wise. So going from being an artist, or calling myself an artist, claiming myself to be an artist in this small town, and then going to Seattle, which was such a great move for me, but it was all of a sudden I was faced with like, oh my God, all this art, like all this diversity, all these different unique artists, that like it started to feel like, can I do this? Like it was an interesting challenge I didn't know I was going to meet. Like going into college, you're going to face challenges, but facing this imposter syndrome challenge as an artist was something I didn't really think was going to happen, and it just wasn't in my mind. And so when I got to college and started to kind of realize that I was struggling with like who I was as an artist, and not trying to compare myself to what other artists were doing or how they were expressing themselves, and comparing that to how I felt like I wanted to express myself. And again, still tackling with all these different mediums that I like to play with. So going to UW, they had wonderful art program. They've got lots of classes, lots of different modalities you can play with: glass, sculpture, ceramics, painting, drawing, all these things. And so I was super excited to start testing all these classes out, and it still came down to being like my passion. Like regardless of what other classes I was taking, my art classes were the classes that I loved the most. I would do the best in. I just really thrived in that setting. And so again, it was still leading into this like, I still want to make this my life somehow, or make this something, but starting to face those challenges of even more so being pressured into find a job, major in something that's going to get you a job. At one time I had considered majoring in ceramics, and which sounds cool, and a lot of people, oh, okay, would you teach it? I'm like, but that's why I did major in it, is because I came around to being like, well, okay, but how am I actually going to use this, or how am I going to use this in the conditioned world that we're in? How am I going to go out to the world and find a job with ceramics, certificate that's not teaching or being a ceramics artist? So it ended up with me majoring with just a regular kind of broader art major, which is interdisciplinary visual arts, and I paired that with communication. And it's funny because that's really led me into where I am today. It's helped me gain experiences that are only fueling the business that I'm trying to create right now, and it's become because I came back into kind of figuring out who I was as an artist, or at least that expression side of myself, when I found yoga. And for me, art and yoga tie very much in together in terms of, like I said, I I didn't realize that art was my form of meditation until I started taking yoga and growing a practice and realizing that sense of slowing your mind down and that sense of finding that meditative state and being mindful of everything that's going on, and how art is such a great way to process that and experience and heal through that. And then also how yoga is also such a great way. Like, they became these two very pivotal places that I found healing in. And the yoga only has helped me really come back to who I am, which is coming back to that soul, that like art part of me, that artist part of me that I lost like a couple years back, and especially during college, of just feeling the sense of like, yeah, like, who am I? Like, I'm not an artist because I don't look like that artist, or I don't look like that artist, or, and so it's been this beautiful journey of really coming back to my art, but through yoga. And so I've been working towards tying those two together in this vision that's coming apart or coming to a fruition now. And this idea of like having all these things that, I like to do, all my hobbies or all my different mediums, and try to make it work under one thing, one umbrella. It's like I've made that happen because I now have this storefront space that I'm able to sell my own art in, but then I have met through this journey of where yoga has taken me, where moving back to Eastern Washington has taken me from Seattle, and meeting the people I have and gaining that confidence. It's taken me to meet all these other great people who are makers and artists like myself, to provide them space. So it's become this kind of collaborative storefront for myself, but then also all these other artists that just want to have a place to display their work, to share their work, whether it's art, candles, I've got crystals, like yoga stuff, related stuff too. So it's becoming this like really eclectic storefront of unique gifts or unique items for yourself. I always love the idea of treating yourself, because we tend to think that's selfish, and it's nice to give to yourself too. So I found that this is becoming a really cool space for tying in kind of that expression that you can get through art, as well as that expression you can get through mindfulness practices. So I'm trying to kind of create a space of both. And again, just like coming back to tying all my interests under one little umbrella of mindfulness that I didn't really think, was ever possible. So it's been really beautiful to see that come together.
Yeah, and it sounds like too, in a way, like coming back to yourself and the expression of like, okay, what do I want that to look like? And spot on. As soon as we get to college, it's like, enjoy these times. It's going to be the best times of your life. Which, like, we had our fair share of good times. And also with that, it's like kind of this notion of like, pick your struggle. Either you hate your job, but you make a lot of money, or you follow your passion and you don't make a lot of money. Like, I feel like that was the message I was being given, all the time. And then with that, it's like, okay, like, where do I decide then? Like, okay, that's a hard, like, which path do I go?
Right.
Like, I feel like I'm losing either way, kind of.
Yeah. And everything's tied into money, like everything. So it's like, how do you make that choice? That's like the hard place to be as a human, because it's like, unfortunately, everything is tied into money, and even if you're not focused on the like make money, it's like it's a resource to provide what you're trying to provide, and that's a huge part of what I've been shifting to is trying not to make my art be something I'm just trying to make money off of. This passion, I'm just trying to make money off of it. Like, I'm really trying. I've shifted from that, because that's the case. You have these people, you gotta make money, and they, parents, they want the best for you, like, get a good job, all that. But then, you get pushed with this, like, okay, but so I don't follow my passion because it's not going to get me any money, but then I'm going to hate my job, hate my life, and be making money. But then, like, what does that do? And so I found myself being like trying to make art to make money, and it wasn't fun. It took the joy of the expression out of it, because I was just like the intention. Exactly. And so that's what has been a lot of my work with finances, is shifting that perspective of we need to make money, but what's the intention behind making that money, and where is that coming from, that energy? And so yeah, I totally, because that's such a hard place to be. That like, and we're only here once. We need to take advantage of following our heart, because that's why we're here. We're here to follow our passion. We're here to follow our heart. We're here to follow that calling of what makes you you. And if you don't follow that, it's suffering. It's, you end up suffering a lot more.
Agreed.
Yeah.
It sometimes can create a lot of tension that comes up, or resistance. And so even if we are following our passion, which it seems like you have, even if it was a little smaller at the beginning of undergrad, but then you felt that, like, okay, I need to focus on this now, that resistance kept building up in some way. And it sounds like, in a way, from doing yoga, you're able to say, like, no, I can still be calm. I can still be true to myself and kind of radiate that out, and understand that there will be obstacles, but I don't have to necessarily always focus on them. So rather than creating more of that resistance that comes up of, I have to make money, I really love doing this, but, like, I'm doing it for money, or whatever that incentive is, it's like, okay, this makes me happy. I'm following my passion, and there are ways that I can also take care of myself while including others in this journey with me. And it really sounds like that's where you are now. You've kind of made your way, going through the different paths to get there as well.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you about the resistance that you can face without even realizing it's there. Because I think it was like, I've had this dream for, like, since high school, for the last 10 years or so, of just, like, wanting to build something for myself and wanting it to be art related, wanting it to be community based, and it's developed into something closer to this, during college and things. But it's I totally had felt that resistance and being like, well, why does it seem like I just can't, like, just, you just feel stuck. And over the last 2 years, especially during the pandemic, and I think 2019, I got my teacher training for yoga, and that, I think, was really pivotal. Yeah, that was, like, I feel like, I'd been practicing yoga for about 7 years or so, but it was like the amount I'd grown just by practicing yoga was huge. The amount it helped me with my own journey with art, huge. But then taking that next step and getting my teacher training just really opened up to letting go of that resistance, of just letting go of the doubt, of letting go of just that ultimate, like, letting go of the control you think you have. So I was trying to control this vision that was supposed to come to fruition. How can I make this happen? But still, in a sense, that's control. It's like you're still trying to, this constant to-do list of, like, oh, well, if I tried this, or if I did this, or, oh, I got to do this, I got to get my website up, I got to put these things, I got to make some stuff. Then that gets you in this mindset of just, like,
kind of like grounding.
Yeah, and it causes that resistance in a way. And it's like, for me, I feel like I can get easily overwhelmed with those kind of thoughts and doubt myself, and I'm not capable to do this. And that's been a big, thought pattern that I've had to change, is I am capable. Even if I don't necessarily think I have the skill set, or it's something I need to learn, or I'm not, like, it's uncomfortable territory, I'm capable. We're all capable. It's just about knowing that, and then letting it unfold, and you'd be surprised how capable you are. Like, that big lesson I learned in yoga. I never thought I was a flexible person. I always was one of those people that, like, no, never ever going to be a flexible person. Now I have people commenting on how flexible I am, and I just say, you know what, like, I'm way more capable than I think, apparently, because I was one of those people that was so for sure. I played sports, so I just always was, like, doing short bursts and not too much, I didn't ever stretch, so it was always like, I just felt like one of those people. I'm not a flexible person. I can't touch my toes, and now it's just, proof. It's recognizing those shifts in your body, in your mind, whether it's a thinking pattern, whether it is something that's related to exercise, but that removes the doubt. And then once the doubt is removed, that resistance starts to fade away, and then all of a sudden you start feeling this movement, this flow, like this energy going forward towards where you're going, like where you're meant to be going. That alignment starts to feel, and that's what teacher training really kind of opened that space, got rid of some stuff, blockages, whatever. And then it was I had an unfortunate year where went through a lawsuit, which someone I worked in coffee, they ended up suing me, and so it was really frustrating. It was over a non-compete contract that was just ridiculous for a coffee stand, but it was at the same time as my teacher training, so it was a very good like juxtaposition of like I have no control over the situation that's happening to me. It's very unfair. It's not cool, but like I am so glad I'm taking my teacher training because that helped me just like, okay, well, this is out of your control. You can either suffer through this by being mad at it and resist it, or you can just see how it just take it day by day and stand true to you. And so it's like the fact that those lined up so well paved way for a year after that took about a year to get done. I feel so much for anyone who has to deal with courts because even this was like a stinking stupid little lawsuit. It was like the fact that it took over a year to get through. And then once I was done with that, unfortunately the pandemic hit shortly after, but it prompted me to make this move back to Eastern Washington, which is my home, and I had been wanting to. And it just ended up being good timing, and it just was universally planned because Eastern Washington, love my roots, but they're behind a couple years from West Side. You know, it's like Seattle, the West Side, you have all the things, and like I've always known that. I've always known that we're always kind of a little behind the trends, all the things. It's fine, but it was this awesome thing about coming back with all this kind of experience and having gone through yoga and just being in the diversity of Seattle and living those 10 years over there. Moving back and being able to bring all that insight, bring my yoga practice, bring that type of mindfulness, the expression for art, and just tapping into that, like bringing back to this small area. Because they don't have yoga studios on every corner, like, yeah, you know, yeah, Seattle doesn't have one in every corner, but, you know, every city, every neighborhood, yeah, but close. Like, you don't have the resources to not only yoga, but even, like, art classes and even just like art community, you know, it's like those types of things are far and few over here. And there was already a yoga studio set up in where it's actually right upstairs. I'm in my storefront right now, so it's right upstairs from my storefront. And the space I'm in used to be the yoga studio. And she's my age. She opened it in 2019, I think, as well. But I had opened it. And I had met her just when I was still living in Seattle, came over and would take a class, and she let me she supported putting my art in here. I had a workshop, which I'll get to, which is kind of the ultimate blend of my art and meditation and yoga practices. But she was totally welcoming me in, and like I said, it was universally aligned because she had already established this yoga studio where there's not many yoga studios far and few, especially in Prosser, which is a smaller town. And so when I moved back, she had ended up moving to Ellensburg, so she was like an hours away drive, and I was a lot closer, and it just worked out where I was like, you know what, I have no job right now. I'm unemployed. Like, it's pandemic. Let me help you. I just got my teaching certification. Like, I need practice. Let me help. So she just like welcomed me in, and I got a ton of practice doing online live stream during that time, and she got me into doing the farmer's market in town because I had jewelry, so we could kind of do a yoga booth / jewelry. Like, I was making jewelry and stuff, and so that really got my confidence up in terms of standing more into a selling present with my art, because that's never been I'm always like, give it, have it, like, gift it. I'm always a gifter.
Yeah.
And as an artist, finding your worth and standing in that worth. And that's, I know, a struggle for a lot of artists. And that's something and even artists, not just art, drawing, painting, but like even as a yoga teacher and as I start to find these mixtures of art and yoga, it's like standing in the worth that you're providing something that is helping people. And again, having that intention behind it. So when I make my crystal jewelry, I try to have that intention while I'm, you know, creating it to send good vibes to the person. You know, it's like that intention of when you're creating it, and when I pick out crystals for the shop, or when I'm talking to an artist, I wanna support their work. So it's this this sense of just it all coming together in a really cool way, and being able to offer all these things that have helped me to an area that doesn't have a lot of resources for that. And so I think that's been the coolest thing, is seeing the yoga community upstairs just welcome the storefront and just be so excited for me, and the fact that they welcomed me so warmly into the community of the studio, and the town has been great. And so it is kind of I want to say, not super conservative town, but it's definitely small town, small agricultural town. So to plop in here, this kind of like free-spirited hippie yogi, with crystals and stuff, it's been really cool to see how welcomed and how open people have been, and just the conversations that have come up and everything. And so yeah, it's been really cool, and to be able to offer, like I said, I have a workshop that does meditation, and we do an art project. So I walk people through, and this came to me during my yoga teacher training, and I'm like shocked. It's one of those things to while to think about, that now I've held it like at least 8 or 9 times. And it's a 2-hour workshop that we do. It's called Meditate and Create. So I walk people through a little bit of yoga stretching to kind of unwind, release some tension. And then for the majority, we lay down and have a meditation where I walk people through a visualization practice where we explore our emotions as they relate to color. And then we take those colors at the end of that visualization practice, and you get to do a paint pour project. So if you've ever done like an acrylic paint pour, it's basically pouring paint on a canvas and just kind of marbleizing it, letting it swirl around and mix with each other. But it's a cool project because it's literally one that it's very hard to mess up. And that's something I've noticed as an artist, that a lot of people don't claim their creativity. And when you think art or think creative, a lot of people instantly say, no, I'm not creative. No, I'm not, they instantly think, I can't paint, I can't draw, I'm not creative. They instantly go there. And so when it comes to actually painting and drawing, I chose this project because it's one that it's meditative in itself, because you're taking your paint, you're just kind of swirling it around, and it's a really cool process to just watch. But then at the same time, it's one of those where you're not trying to control and draw a face or draw a line or draw a hand. It's one of those where it's like, I tell them, just don't overdo it, like don't overwork it, and you'll be happy, and that's something as an artist, you can definitely overwork your work. You can get self-critical, you can start to work it there, and that's been a really cool workshop to offer, and people have seemed to really get a lot out of it, and just taking that break and then that tie into doing an art project. Again, I think creating that space where people feel safe to express themselves in that way it's what it's opened up, and it's been really cool to see. So
yeah, and it really sounds okay. First off, it sounds awesome. Like I might, when I'm back home, I might have to drive out to Eastern Washington just to check it out.
Yeah.
Not in the winter, but maybe in the summer. And overall, it sounds like you're really creating that space. And with creating that space, not only in yourself, but also like externally. And with that, it's being, I don't know if I would say more appreciated, but it's being appreciated in the sense of realizing, okay, like there are things coming up for me in the sense of what direction do I go down? Like, what does it mean for me to be an artist, and how do I express myself? And then also with that, seeing like, okay, there are going to be challenges that come up. I haven't personally been sued, and I'm hoping that I'm not anytime soon.
But I thought I would be.
Yeah, it sounds horrible, like every part of it. And it makes me think of essentially someone is evaluating like your thought process and you as a human. And so if I think about like as an artist, sometimes that's what we do when we're creating our art, or when we present our art to other people. We're kind of just putting our vulnerable selves up and saying, please don't be too mean. Make me, but like be gentle. Like that's my heart that's going out there. And just how scary that can be. And with that, it can be terrifying and also very much appreciated. And it sounds like, I forget what town you said, because I'm not used to Eastern Washington as much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You're good.
I'm one of the Westies, my bad.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's appreciated. Even if it's something that's not as common there or well known, it's still like, okay, yeah. Like, this is something new. This is something that I would be interested in learning about. And it kind of shows that you're appreciated. Your partner as well, who does the yoga studio, or whatever that looks like. It just seems like it's needed and appreciated.
Yeah, and that's why I was so, my partner, yoga partner, she just actually had a baby too, and so but with having a baby with all that, it's like, how do you keep a yoga studio open? But like, I full on told her, I was like, no, I'm here, like, I will do whatever I need to do, and that was kind of at the same time, or just shortly after she had her baby, this space opened up, and I was like, I'm doing it because I could feel that sense of how much people appreciated it, and like you said, it's this space that it's like I'm creating it for myself, yes, because I know how much this stuff helps me, but if anything, I want to be able to educate people about it, to see what works for them. If it's not exactly what's worked for me, then like, how can I recommend you to something I know, how can I open that conversation to help you find the healing that you need, or the growth that you need, or the form of expression that you need, and that really it comes down to like creating this space that, not only can you come shop cool local art, you can find your, crystals and some mindfulness resources and take a yoga class upstairs, but you feel safe to come and have a conversation, or to talk to me, or to talk to, whoever else I can, like, I don't have employees yet, but like, if I can build a
team.
I
love that.
Yeah. I did have someone come and ask if she loved the shop. She's like, are you hiring? And I'm like, no, not yet. But like, can I trade you for something in the meantime? But I want to create, that space where people feel safe to come into and to express themselves, and it's helping me lean more into finding that expression for myself, because it's like we have it so much as kids, and then through all the cultural conditioning, through all the outside influences, we
being
lose that
indoctrinated.
expression.
Yeah.
Like, and so even just as an artist, like leaning into that with like trying, I don't shy away from buying funky jewelry or funky like clothes if it calls out to me, or it's like, and that's where you don't shy away from yourself, is if something calls out to you, whether it's a hobby or it's clothing, a way to express yourself, hairstyle, whatever. I don't want to say external stuff, but like internal stuff too. How you identify as yourself, how you choose to speak, but it's like it's finding out what that is for you, and you won't find it out until you explore. You have to do the exploratory process and that's a lot of self-discovery stuff, of trying stuff out, of putting yourself out there, of getting uncomfortable, of not being afraid to talk, and not being afraid to be judged, and letting that judgment go, because it's not on you, it's really on someone else. It's all this kind of learning, it's like, I don't want to get too deep, because I start to get into these like tangents where I feel like I'm like, okay, maybe I should have like a whole conversation about why I'm going about that. So
I mean, I'm done.
I'm always for that, but it's really that self-discovery about figuring out who you are, but there's so much that leads up to that you have to kind of sift through and undig, kind of dig yourself out, and it's not always pretty, but it's like you come out so much more yourself on the other side, whether that's crying, whether it's with a big smile, whether that's with a brand new idea, or it's like you come out so much more yourself after you've done that work of asking yourself where you want to go. Like, this has always been at the top, at the vision of where is my career going to be, and this has always didn't look exactly like this in this space, but it's like it's always been this type of thing, and to be at this place where I'm like, I'm here, like,
I'm here.
like, and reminding myself to slow down and appreciate that too. That's part of the art. That's part of, it's like the experience of it, but then appreciating the beauty of what you created. And so it's what I learned a couple years back. Someone had the phrase life artist, and I'm like, I love that phrase, because it's like each of us identify, or not each of us, but people who identify as artists and the people who don't identify as artists. And it's like, but reality, everyone's an artist because you're creating your life. Art is creation. Whatever that may be, whether you're creating a crown for someone's tooth, or whether you're creating a mathematical equation for some scientific problem, it's like, it doesn't have to be the traditional, paint on a canvas. And And I think it's like, that's always been a big part of me for art. And then the yoga and just, finding that uniqueness in everyone. It's like these two just, for me, they just dance so beautifully together. And I want to see how I can make those two kind of coexist in the same space and where you can find those two. So that's this vision that is starting to come forth. So
yeah, and it's so beautiful, like everything about it. You know it through the phone, like it's so.
Thank you. It's like, and it's still process because it's like I opened this in January, or I got the shop in December and kind of got it open in January, but it's just been like surreal and having to remember to check in and be present in the moment of what's happening. Like,
don't get too far ahead into like, okay, I have this now, what's next, or even into those doubts of I don't want to lose this. Kind
holding
of
too tight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Kind of just being able to say like, okay, I'm here, like you said, I made it. Looking around, oh, it's no longer a dream, like it's reality. Dope. And also like, okay, keep it.
Okay, don't freak out.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't freak out.
Easy now.
Yeah. Cause, I mean, and that's a big part of life is we live so much in the future and we live so much in our past. And I'm a big living with you. Like, what's next? What's like in middle school? I was like, what's next in high school? In high school, what's next in college? In college, I was like, okay, what's next? But kind of like, wait, what? Like, after I feel like after college, no one really prepares you for what's next. So then it's just like, what's next? I have no idea. And then that's where it's like really rocky roads, but we all come out and we all find our way. But that's been a huge challenge and a huge practice for me is pulling myself away from the future. And it's not bad to look into the future, to dream about the future, but to always, if I'm on this conversation with you and then I'm like thinking, okay, well, what's next? I got to get home. I got to feed the dogs. I got to go back to teach. I got to do this. I got to get up tomorrow. I got to go to. It's like, oh my God, and that's where anxiety comes. That's where a lot of my anxiety, I think, came from. That's where, it's where dissociation comes from. That's where it's like these things that now I realize I dealt with, as, a lot younger and in high school and even in college. It's like, okay. And yoga, huge, helped me pull myself back from the future. I mean, that was probably the biggest thing that helped me reel myself back in, but it still happens.
Like align the whole body. And like even what you just said, it still happens. So now we have more of that signal to say like, yeah, I'm really excited about the future, and like I'm taking away from the beauty of the present right now. Like I'm taking away the essence of what it means to, let's gonna be there in the future, but right now, like this feels good. Like the dogs will be okay. I know other projects I can do too. They'll get done.
Right.
Like I can enjoy this. I
totally.
love the verb that you use. Like it can be just a dance, even just figuring out yoga or how do I blend them together. And it's kind of the same with being in the present moment, especially when sometimes, and it's like the caveat of it, it becomes a form of avoidance sometimes when thinking of, okay, I know I have all these projects to do, but right now, in the present moment, Netflix is sounding real good, or like maybe spending so much time on an art project when knowing like, wait, I have other obligations to do as well. So again, not necessarily wrong, but finding that dance, that balance that you're talking about of, okay, I still have to be a functional human adult and also live within my passions. And so kind of figuring that out is a part of the journey as well.
And having compassion with yourself, because with that dance, it's like not feeling, it's that meeting it with compassion, because the work's never going to be done. And so to think that like you've come so far and, you've got stuff figured out, but then you go through, you kind of feel like you backstepped because you got caught up in anxiety or got caught up in you got judgmental or whatever, and then not meeting yourself with compassion there doesn't do anything for you. If you all of a sudden get really hard on yourself because, oh man, it's like I've come so far, but then like what's happening here? But it's like, that's just, there's so much that we deal with on the daily that you're good. It's not like you're gonna hit that, oh, I know how to be present and yep, got it.
Forever.
You know,
Forever.
got it forever. You know, no, let's not. You know, oh, I know how to meditate. Oh, yep, good, got it forever. It's gonna, you know, consistency is good. I totally agree. Consistency is good, but I've been playing around with this idea that it's going to differ what consistency is for every person and what that looks like. Like, especially with social media, I feel like you can be hard on yourself if you aren't consistent. Like, if you know, even if it's something good, like I signed up for a yoga challenge on Instagram and I need to post a pose every day and then you miss a day and it's like, oh my God, I'm not consistent. Or you completely, you know, I broke the consistency. But like, no, you've been consistent. That's what you're still, are you going to post tomorrow? That's still consistent. Or, you know, it's oh, I practiced for every day this week and then I fell off for 2 weeks and I came back to it. But you're still being consistent because you're still coming back to that practice. You know, and I think I've been playing around with this idea of just what consistency means, because with this exposure of, you know, feeling like we have to be consistent on social media or consistent with showing up for people, or I don't know, it's like, you know, and this idea that a consistent means everything, you know, just like, you know, it's like
robotic sometimes.
I can get so hard on myself if I lose, like, oh, I told myself I was going to do this every day, and I know that's something I do want to, like, make a promise to myself and keep that. That's my own challenge I'm working on. But it's like, if we always think that's breaking a promise, or if we always think that, you know, breaking that consistency because we set our ideal consistency in our mind to be every day, you know, it's like, it's always that ideal consistency that we put it as an expectation, you know. So
always makes me think of perfectionism. Like, ideally, yes, this is how life would look every single day, every week of the month, everything. And ideally, yeah, like, probably feels good when you're clean eating all the time. But, you know, sometimes that hamburger, sometimes that pizza just looks so good that it's like, no, I'm gonna eat it. Sorry.
And aren't you going to be happy in the moment if you just let yourself eat it?
Yeah.
And then let yourself enjoy it?
So
and not guilt yourself that you just ate it because you caved it? You know, we do this mind thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
We beat ourselves up. We're like, I'm not, like you said, we kind of go from like one extreme to the next. It's like, well, then I'm bad. Or like you said, in terms of art, well, then I'm not an artist because I don't know how to paint Picasso. Like, okay.
Right.
Like we can just be so hard and set ourselves up to fail a lot of times when our standards are not necessarily too high, but kind of our attachment to that standard is unhealthy.
Yes. Attachment is a big one. Attachment. Yes. We had a whole conversation. Yes.
Yeah.
Attachment. Yeah. And that's part of this. That's part of, I feel like, the one of the other keys that has led me to where I am right now and feeling this alignment is releasing attachment to what I think my life is going to end up being, you know, because we have that vision, whether it's conditioned or not, partly or you know, whatever amount of it is put in there by you or not, you know, it's like you have this mind that by 31, I'm going to be in a full-time job with a 401k, with all the, you know, and great if you are, but it's like, if you are there and it's not the same picture, you know, if that picture in your mind at whatever age you had set that picture and you're at that age and it doesn't meet, life is not over. You know, it's like releasing that attachment, because that attachment is holding you back. I mean, that's holding you back from all these other opportunities that could be leading you to a similar feeling or whatever, you know, a similar idea of what you had in that vision. But it's like, you're so attached that it has to be in this town, or it has to be, it'll have to look exactly like this. It has to be in this type of building. It has to have this kind of, you know.
Yeah.
Then again, it's perfectionism. You're trying to perfect that image, which that's not
it
how
kind
life
of loses the like essence of life again, like you said. Like, then we're just trying to control everything instead of letting our journey through life and our expression show us where we're meant to be.
Right. Oh, that's so, I love that. We're our journey and our expression and that. I love that little last little bit. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Because it is. I mean, each day we express ourselves through how we interact with people. I mean, just the act of living is expressing yourself. And so to enjoy that each day, whether it's like, I've started to try to be more playful in my expression daily. Like when I'm shopping for groceries and I'm going out to my car with my grocery cart. Like, I have now started to jump on my grocery cart and just like slide my car because I'm like, and I don't
Bringing
care,
out
like,
the inner child, yeah.
I don't care if there's people, like, I was kind of like, before I would kind of like, oh, there's people in the parking lot, I'm gonna look goofy, but then I was just like, I've started to let go of that because it's that idea of expressing yourself. If you want to hop up on a ledge and balance, or, you know, it's like, bring out that form of expression that we've lost since we've been kids, because you get so serious about life, you get so caught up in the mind chatter that you lose that. And I think that in a way is why a lot of people tend to, as a kid, all kids love art. I mean, maybe not all kids love art, but
finger painting,
you know, when you're a kid, the idea of being an artist or getting dirty and getting painting and drawing, it's like, it's not a question of if they're an artist or not. They just sit down and draw something, you know. And how many kids' pictures do you see on parents' wall? You know, it's like, and I'm not going to say they're not good, you know, but it's like, it's a kid's drawing, and kids drawing for kids' drawings, you know. But it's like a kid sits down and they're not going to sit there and be like, oh, I'm not an artist, get this away from me. Or like, nope, can't do this activity, I'm not an artist. Like, kids don't do that. They sit down and they're like, oh, cool, okay, colors. Draw it, yeah, and they just kind of get into it.
Yeah.
And so to try to act more from that place of how you look at being an artist, of how you look at expression, of just, you are a human artist expressing your life. And that's, you know,
yeah,
like
you
are
if you just a human artist expressing your life.
And it's like, if you just take that and just run with it, see how it feels to start kind of living by that a little bit, and then just kind of maybe see what shifts, you know. Maybe you start to feel you get a little brighter with your clothes, you start to feel a little happier because you wore that specific necklace that is, you know, or, you know, it's like, whatever that means for you, it's just kind of like, test it out, see what it sees, because I think we immediately, our minds are too quick to doubt, you know, or too quick to like, nah,
it's a good idea, like, what are going to be
not
the risk? Exactly.
Or like, no, look at me, or like,
yep, what are others,
you know,
yep.
Yeah. So, you know, my recommendation is write an affirmation that can remind you of that playfulness, of that you know, expression in your life, of whether it's something simple like, I am the creator of my life, I am the artist of my life, I live through expression, or, you know, just creating a simple affirmation that you can have on your mirror, on your desk, something that you don't have to read purposely every day, but it's going to be there so that you see it, and you're going to instantly, that those words are going to go into your head. It's going to start to sink in. It's going to start to plant that seed. And then you might be surprised when the shifts start happening, you know. So, yeah.
Oh, so beautiful. And I do recognize that it's already 4:04, which I don't mind. So I know you're busy.
Yeah. Like, I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I would so keep talking, but I'm like, I do need to run back, yeah.
That's what I figured. So on that note, we can always catch up another time. We can always have like a follow-up session, which I would really
love that. Yes.
Like, very much. And I also realized, because I know you, like, no introduction needed, but for everyone who's watching and who will later, who are you and what would you say is your brand?
Thank you.
Yes.
So I'm Megan Tyler, and my brand, so funny, brand. My brand, Free Expression Studio, is, I don't really necessarily like the word brand. I know why we're using it, but it's like
whatever vocab works.
My essence
Love it.
My essence is Free Expression Studio, and that again is just creating a place to connect to yourself and to others on a deeper level, to experience life more fully, and whether that's through some of the art that we have here that just makes you happy, that lights you up, through mindfulness resources I can provide, through personal coaching, through art workshops, you know, any of that, any resources I can provide. I just want to be able to help create that deeper connection with life and with expressing in life. So
beautiful, and I wish you, well, you don't need luck, but I wish you the most energy to keep it going.
Thank you.
And I really appreciate you connecting with me and taking the time out of your day to
of course.
be in this talk and also for us to catch up in a way.
Yes.
We've grown so much since our days in undergrad. Still fun, not
I
even
know.
or regret
Oh, it's just
anything.
crazy to think
It's
about.
just
I
weird
know.
to think about. Like, I think, like we knew each other first
Right off the
freshman
bat.
year.
Yeah, right off the bat, freshman year.
Yeah.
I still remember doing selfies off of our Macs in the library, in the law
When we're
library.
especially studying. Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember too. Yeah.
The whole
I still
photo
have
shoot.
them,
Yeah,
actually.
I think I do too.
Oh,
Yes. Oh, yeah. And I'm just so glad to see what you're doing, Millie. Like, keep doing this, having these conversations. You've taken the step. Like, I want to start a podcast. I
Please
kind of
do.
have started a podcast on love and just like the dance
I'm
between
so
loving yourself and love.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where I'm like, I just need to get it out there. It's that like
I will gladly talk to you.
You know, it's
Love
so I give you
every
so
day.
much props because I've been trying to get this started, and I feel like it's just been kind of like fear a little bit blocking me from getting it out there. You know, so you're an inspiration because I'm like, I was doing it. I got to get mine out there. Like, we got to get this conversation going because this is the kind of stuff that is gonna just help in the greater grand scheme of things. You know, having these conversations, having people join in on these conversations, reaching out, talking to different people, and that's where, you know, that's what I am really drawn to do with that. And so the fact that you're already doing it here, I mean, that's where I'm just like, you're such an inspiration doing this. And for me to be able to be on it, I'm just like, this has been great. So I really appreciate you. Yeah, keep doing it. Really.
I love that, and I appreciate you. And let me know. I will gladly support you. And
I would love to.
others.
Yeah, I would have you on there for a conversation because that's where I'm like, I've done 4 episodes and I think they're all talking episodes and me just going over topics. But I'm like, I want to have conversation topics, so I'm just gonna get back into it. Start getting those out there. So
Yeah,
I'll let you know.
It's free.
I'll let you know. Yes, right. I know it's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
Well, take it easy. I will post this later, so if anyone missed it, they can watch it. And we'll connect soon. Okay.
Okay. Thanks. Oh, thank you so much, Millie.
Miss you.
Okay. Miss you. Bye.